Today we're going to make my version of an American flag cake. It's a light, moist vanilla cake that's topped with a luscious and silky smooth lemon Swiss meringue buttercream, and then all the berries. I'll show you how to make the asymmetrical stripes, and the whole thing comes together way faster than you think. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit subscribe below and click the bell icon, and then you'll be notified every time I make a new and delicious recipe. So the first step of a flag cake is obviously the cake. So that's what we're gonna do first. I'm gonna go ahead and get my butter in my mixer. Your butter should be kind of, soft but pliable. Mine's not, so I'm gonna let it kind of go. So before we mix our whole cake, we want to make sure that our pan is prepped and our ingredients are ready. So I'm going to bake this in just a rectangular baking dish, but you can bake it in a Pyrex. Just know it might take a little bit longer to bake if it's not metal. And then I'm just going to line it quickly. Just give it a little, right? And then we're going to pop the parchment in the bottom. Ta-da! And our pan is prepped. So we don't have too many dry ingredients. We've just got cake flour here, which is why we're sifting. I've got baking powder, baking soda, and then kosher salt. Ta-da! I'm gonna whisk those together just so there's no clumps of baking powder or like hidden pockets. And then we're just gonna sift it onto the parchment. You could sift it into a different bowl. You could do, any number of things, but you could use a bigger sifter. Make your life easier. But, why would we do that this morning? I'm just gonna go ahead and put this back into my bowl. You can keep it on the parchment, it doesn't really matter. Whatever's easiest for you to get it into your mixer, that's what you should do. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're just gonna whisk together our sour cream and our milk. A bigger bowl might be a better choice here, but I'm going for it. The reason I want to whisk these together is to easily get the sour cream into the cake mixture. So when you're incorporating your dry and your wet, obviously as soon as you start hydrating that flour, it's going to start to develop gluten. And we want a nice tender crumb in our cake, and we don't want tough, chewy, vanilla cake. That's just sad. Okay, and there she is. Voila. And now we are ready to mix. So grab my mixer. We've got our butter in there already, and we're going to add our sugar. It's a lot. Put it in. And then we're going to cream that. Like I said before in some of my other cake videos, you're really looking for it to the sugar will kind of come together in a mass, and then it'll separate. And so we've actually hit that separation here. It also depends on how temp your butter is, so how soft your butter is, and how long that will take. So we've got a nice creamed mixture in here. So if your butter and sugar starts to look a little bit like shortening, like if it lightens a bit, then you have over creamed. You can still proceed with your cake. It's just not going to have as nice of a texture. All right, I'm gonna start adding my eggs. Boom. Just gonna beat that in there really nicely. Scrape down the sides. Help out my mixer, because she was like, I thought we were making a bigger cake today. Egg. Really beat that in nicely. We got a nice silky batter going on over here. I'm going to add my vanilla. This is a tablespoon, so it's vanilla cake. You could put vanilla bean paste in here. You could, the world is your oyster. There we go. I'm going to turn this on low, and then we're going to start to alternate our dry and wet ingredients that we've already mixed and sifted, and everybody is happy. So I'm not waiting until I see that flour or anything incorporate. I'm just kind of continuously adding back and forth until everything has been added. And then we're going to finish by hand. This is where you're very happy that you sifted your ingredients and you're like, oh, look at my luscious, beautiful batter. Yes, she's gorgeous. I would like to taste it, but I'm not going to. Okay, and then we're gonna put her in. Yes, look at you, stunner. And then we are going to use it an offset and spread it out. Just get it into all the corners. Do-do-do. Turn. If you do not put the batter in there evenly, it will not bake evenly. Just saying. So I've preheated my oven to 325 convection. You should too. And I'm gonna pop this in and I'm gonna check it in about 8 minutes. Because nothing terrible can happen to a cake in 8 minutes unless it's tiny. And then I'm gonna rotate it and see what's up. It'll probably take 20, 25, but I just wanna keep an eye on it just in case. She's out! It baked just shy of 30 minutes. You want to make sure it's nice golden brown, and then obviously I actually do it by touching it. But if it just has a bit of give, a bit of resistance, almost like you're touching a sponge really lightly, and that's what it should feel like all throughout, like in the center and everything. And then you know it's done. And now, alas, my loves, we have to wait. The tragedy, I know. So our cake is cooling, and we are gonna finish prepping all of our ingredients. It's actually almost cool, so because you wanna refresh your buttercream right before you're going to use it, otherwise you might have to do it again. So, first step, we are gonna refresh our buttercream. You're like, what is that? What are you talking about? Refresh? Like your makeup? No. Refresh buttercream just means like, when you use an Italian meringue or a Swiss meringue, this is Swiss meringue. You can see my recipe up there. But either of those two buttercreams get hard in the fridge because obviously the butter solidifies. This is what makes them so stable, right? So like nobody wants that on their cake. So we are going to refresh it. So we're going to put it in the stand mixer and we're going to let it kind of mix. And I'll walk you through that step so that you don't freak out because there's a moment where lots of people freak out. So you could also just make Swiss meringue at this moment for your cake. Super easy to pull together. So don't feel like if you don't have it already made, it doesn't need to be made in advance. You can either use good old-fashioned patience or you can use a blowtorch. And we are going to use a blowtorch because you know me and I have no patience. So grab your stand mixer, pop your bowl in, oofa, and a paddle attachment. And we're going to start it off on low because it needs to break up all the clumps that are in there. You'll hear it. So the purpose here is not to whip any more air into it this moment. We're just trying to get, basically the buttercream is going to fall apart and then it's going to come together as if you just made it. So we've got our buttercream here and you might be thinking, oh gosh, it looks curdled. Don't stress, just trust. So when you are blowtorching anything in a bowl or a meringue, obviously you want to keep moving constantly. The point is not to melt your butter because you can't come back from melted butter if you melt all of your butter. Some of your butter, yes. And at this point, you might be like having a full-on panic attack. I'm going to show you what's in my bowl because you're going to be like, no. You see that? It looks like a curdled, chunky mess. And you're like, don't stress. Nothing bad happened. This is just what happens when you mix cold buttercream, okay? So we're just gonna let this mix. So obviously, there's several assortment of berries that you could choose for your flag. I am choosing strawberries, maybe some raspberries as accents, and then blueberries as my, like in the star area, right? So I have a vision. And I am going to start slicing my strawberries very thin because I'm going to fan them out. You see where I'm going, don't you? Yeah, exactly. I'm going to try and keep them together as much as possible. It'll just make the assembly a whole lot easier. And then I'm just going to like set them aside. And I'm going to repeat. On and on and on. Strawberries are sliced. Buttercream is not ready. We'll wait on our buttercream. And then we'll assemble it. And now you know how to refresh buttercream. Look at this. It's so silky smooth. It's like you just made it. Now, she could use a little fluff, and we will do that in a second. But first, we are gonna add lemon curd. This lemon curd, I made extra lemon curd when I made lemon bars, which means that there's a little bit extra gelatin in it. That's not necessary for this buttercream. If you want to make my standard lemon curd, that will be just as delightful. So it's about, we're gonna put like about a half a cup. Now, since our buttercream is nice and silky smooth and perfectly temped, I don't want to put this cold, a little bit kind of stiff lemon curd in with my buttercream like that. So I'm just gonna kind of refresh, if you will, my lemon curd. I'm just gonna put it in a bowl and kind of give it a stir. And then we're gonna plop this in there. I know. So, and then we're gonna just put that, and I'll beat that in. Yes. Magical. Now I'm gonna do two things with this lemon buttercream. I am first going to spread it on my cake. I am going to give my cake just a little soak. I've got some simple syrup here that I made a couple months ago, and then we're just gonna brush it on our cake. You don't wanna soak too much or you'll get a soggy, wet cake. And now we are ready to spread on some frosting. I do want a little frosting on there so that there's something for the berries and everything to stick to. And then we're just gonna spread it out. Nice, silky smooth base. Whew. She is gorgeous. Okay, now, I am going to pipe my lines on for the stripes. All of this in there. It's like a beautiful pale yellow. I don't know if you can see that. So we've got our buttercream, and then we are going to prepare a bag for our piping tips. Take a piping tip and place it in the bag. Make sure it, like the bag comes down below the prongs. We might need a different one. This one's a little smaller, so I'll have to probably make another bag. But now this bag has our frosting, and we are going to, you just need to make sure that you get a big enough hole that it won't cover up any of the prongs. So first I'm gonna cordon off my space for the blueberries so I don't get like lost in the strawberry madness and then forget. All right, so I'm thinking like this big. That's too big. Maybe like this big. Maybe I should like look at the flag of my ancestors and see what's up. So then we're just gonna leave enough space for the blueberry or the strawberries and raspberries or whatever red berries you are using. Cool. What's up? Now we got our stripes. Now we're gonna start to create our little, stripes. I feel like fanning them out is gonna like make it look like there's a little bit of movement. That's my concept. So I'm just gonna start at one end and kind of push them into the berries into the buttercream. I'm gonna leave a little space. I'm gonna put a little raspberry right there, and then I'm gonna kind of just keep going. So, it's blueberry time. I mean, honestly, I just kind of want like a ton of blueberries over here. Like I just want this whole star area to be full of blueberries. And now we're gonna put some stars in there. Stars and stripes. Could you leave the blueberries by themselves? Sure. It's so cute. And now we've made a flag cake. I mean, ta-da! She's gorgeous, no? Guess what? We don't need to cool, we don't need to wait, we don't need to do anything. It is time to try. Boo-ba-da-boo. Without further ado, let's do it. I'm gonna do a nice size piece over here. I'm gonna get all the things, right? Yes. Whoop! Oh my gosh. How How fun is this? Oof, that cake, I can see it's tender and moist. Ooh, girl, look at this. Okay, ready? Let's get in there. Oh, yeah. A soft vanilla cake with like the light lemon, Swiss meringue, buttercream, and all the berries. Yes. Yes. That's my cake happy dance. Maybe like to one more for the road. So good.